What is up, NASCAR racing fans? You're watching the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And today we're wrapping up the 1991 NASCAR Nitro Series season at Nazareth Speedway. It's not filmed on location this time, although it's the exact same track setup. Nazareth Speedway, what a fun track. That place is never going to close. And boy, do we have some exciting racing. Only 3 points separates points leader Vito Nightlife and Cole Trickle, your 1989 and 1990 champion. It could be anybody's race. We're going to kick things off with Vito Nightlife and Chef Squid on the front row as segment number 1. Behind them, Elmo Langley and Johnson Jr., Tyler Bloodfish and Ricardo Roberto, both of them racing on Lord Shank's channel. Mopar Mac, E. Marshall, Jeff Fuller, and Texas Terry rounds out the rest of segment number 1. We got a little bit of a start gate malfunction. Everyone gets bunched up behind Chef Squid's car. We made some edits to the start gate, and I think it is that particular casting because we did all sorts of tests in all the other cars. At least the stocks worked well with this start gate in this format. Some of the mods people mailed in, I like to call them donks. They have large tires. I'll have to set it up the old way if a donk is leading the lap, but if it's not a donk, it'll be set up this way for the 2026 season. As Vito Nightlife holds on to the lead, Tyler Bloodfish moves up to second, holds off Johnson Jr., Chef Squid, all the way back up to fourth after losing a bunch of spots at the start. And now it's time for the final lap of segment number 1. The gates are down. It's a tight pack heading towards the bottom of the split track. Tyler Bloodfish and Vito Nightlife running away from the rest of the field. Caution's out. The cars are jammed up in the middle of the pack. Tyler Bloodfish is on his roof. That's an L flippo for him. His season's over. Looks like Vito Nightlife might be off the track. We got to zoom in closer, and he is barely on the track, barely on the gray part. Slightly ahead of Chef Squid there, who's going to fight his way to the seconds race. Johnson Jr. to the thirds. Ricardo Roberto to the fourths. All the other guys in the back there you can see. And now let's see if Cole Trickle, just 3 points behind Vito Nightlife heading into the finale, can join him in the main event. But he'll have to get through Marco Andretti right behind him and Jimmy to his side. Robbie Gordon starting in fourth. Front row Joe, Derek Cope, J.D. McDuffie, Jeff Bodine, A.J. Foyt, and Dale Jarrett make up the rest of your field for segment number 2. And the gates are down the outside lane. Gets a great push off the start. Side by side, Cole Trickle and Jimmy. Cole Trickle gets the advantage on the inside of turn number 1. Jimmy remains in second as the pack spreads out. Cautions out, major L flippo. We got at least 2 cars upside down in the infield. And that's Dale Jarrett and Marco Andretti. Marco was in the top 10 in points. An absolute nightmare for him. Lap 1 DNF. As the gates down for lap number 2. Look at that. Jimmy running away from the rest of the field. Moves to the bottom. Throws a block on Cole Trickle. Cole's got the field bunching up behind him. It's going to be Jimmy that leads the second lap of this segment. Cole Trickle recovers back to second place. Derek Cope all the way up to third. And would you look at this, another double DNF. This time it's front row Joe, who bins it running towards the back, and then Robbie Gordon got dumped off the track. He's certainly not happy about this, and there's no time for retribution because this is the season finale. And now the gates are down for the final lap. Cole Trickle retakes the lead on the split track, has a car length lead heading into turn number 1. And now look at this. J.D. McDuffie's up front trying to take the lead. A last-second reverse side draft. Saves it for Cole Trickle. He's going to the main event, and J.D. McDuffie from the middle of the pack throughout the whole segment all the way up to the seconds race. And now it's time for segment number 3 on the front row. The 41 of Ricky Craven next to Stinger, Alan Kulwicki, and Darrell Waltrip, followed by Paul Menard and Bubba Wallace. That Jeff Gordon, that rookie, I'm not sure he's ever going to be any good in NASCAR. He certainly hasn't shown it this year. Next to Chad Little, probably a future superstar based on his results so far. And with Michael Waltrip and Kenny Schrader rounding out the rest of this field. And it's a tight pack. The first 4 cars have broken away heading into turn number 1. Rest of the field catches up. Not much distance between first and 8th place here. We got a big pile up on the backstretch as Stinger leads the first lap. And surprisingly, there's no El Flippo here. Everyone's on their wheels despite a whole bunch of drivers getting bunched up in turn 2 and coming off of the track. And the biggest winner of that lap was Kenny Schrader. He comes up from 10th place, dead last in the segment, to 5th. And now he's on the inside lane, right behind Alan Kulwicki and Stinger. And that's Stinger out front. Everyone else is side by side, 2 by 2. Except these first 3 cars, Stinger, Alan Kulwicki, and Ricky Craven. And Stinger will be leading the field to the green for the final lap. And cautions out for a double DNF. Darrell Waltrip loses a ton of speed and gets squeezed up to the top of the track. while Bubba Wallace just bins it without any contact. As you can see, the moment where they both flip simultaneously in unrelated incidents, and Darrell Waltrip on a major downward spiral in the second half of the season after sniffing the top 10 in points. And the gates are down with 8 cars left in this segment for the final lap. And look at this, Alan Kulwicki out of nowhere, flying away from the rest of the field, throws a block on Stinger. And if you look here at the top of the track, the whole field catches up but bunches up behind him, catapults him across the finish line. Stinger chokes it away big time. He'll be heading from the main event to the thirds race here. Kenny Schrader moves up to second place, and it looks like we got one guy on his roof. That's Paul Menard. Horrible ending for him for this season. He beat the mail-ins in a stock race last year, but that wasn't so lucky this season. And now it's time for the final segment of 1991. On the front row, we have a couple of 2024 veterans of Ross Chastain, your first ever champion on this channel. Next to him, Martin Truex Jr., along with Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott, with Carl Recco and Morgan Shepherd in the third row, Christian Fittipaldi and Davey Allison, and John Ironfire and Casey Atwood bringing up the rear. The gates are down for lap number 1 of this segment. Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain side by side. A great reverse side draft by Ross Chastain. Throws a nasty block on Bill Elliott. Takes a 2-car length lead to lead lap number 1. And cautions out for an El Recco. That's Carl Flippo. Cautions out for an El Flippo. That's Carl Recco. Wait, I actually like the sound of El Recco. Well, it's the first ever El Recco here. I like the sound of that. Carl Recco and Morgan Shepherd on their sides and out of the race. Lap 1 double DNF for them. Let's see if anybody else can avoid that fate. Martin Truex Jr. once again with a great start, but Ross Chastain in the split track. Bill Elliott side by side with Martin Truex takes second place from him, and it's going to be Ross Chastain and Bill Elliott leading the field down for lap number 3, and cautions out for yet another El Recco. I love the sound of that, and I'm going to keep using this from now on. Thank you, Carl Recco. Your incompetence has changed the NASCAR Nitro Series forever. And now it's time for the final lap of segment racing. Ross Chastain with an extra pusher. Doesn't give him much of an advantage over Bill Elliott. They're side by side heading into the split track. Ross Chastain with about a half a car length lead. Side drafts Bill Elliott. Now Elliott tucks to the bottom. Chastain throws a block. It's going to be Ross Chastain to the main event. Bill Elliott to the seconds race. And Martin Truex Jr. to the thirds. And now it's time for your placement racing. Kicking it off is Ricky Craven and Elmo Langley on the front row of the 7th, 8th, and 9th race. And the gates are down. Elmo Langley with a great push off the start gate. But here comes Ricky Craven. Reverse side drafts Elmo as E. Marshall tries to get his nose in there. And it's going to be, no way, Elmo Langley throws Ricky Craven off the track. Cautions out for an El Recco. Ricky Craven's season is over. The championship definitely not his. Elmo Langley and E. Marshall move on to the 6th race. And now the gates are down. Derek Cope and Mopar Max side by side, leagues ahead of the rest of the field. They're flying away with it, both of them trying to move on to the 5th race. And now let's take a look. Christian Fittipaldi tries to get in there. Excellent block by Mopar Mac to keep his spot in the 5th race, where they're going to go up against Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, Jeff Fuller, and Michael Waltrip. But now the gates are down. The front row once again breaks away from the rest of the pack. Derek Cope and Jeff Fuller are bump drafting. Davey Allison throws a block, takes himself off the track. Derek Cope weaves his way through the wreckage. It's going to be Jeff Bodine and Derek Cope moving on to the 4th race. And now Derek Cope in the 4th race ended up 6th in his segment. Does he have anything for Jimmy or Rusty Wallace, Chad Little, or Ricardo Roberto? The gates are down. Rusty Wallace and Jimmy running away from the rest of the pack. They catch up in the middle of the turn. It's a tight pack heading into turns 2 and 3. There's some beating and banging. A couple of guys get hung up on the wall. It's going to be Rusty Wallace and Chad Little. And Jimmy's season is over. He bins it coming out of turn 3. No chance to advance for him. Now it's time for the 3rd race. Stinger and Martin Truex Jr. on the front row, followed by Johnson Jr. and AJ Foyt. And look at this, the inside row spreading out, but a great draft by the outside row pushes Martin Truex Jr. and AJ Foyt to the lead. And what's this? AJ Foyt flips along the track, barrel rolls, but lands on his wheels ahead of the rest of the pack. Let's see if he's on the track. He is. Let's show you this replay. There you can see he tries to cut underneath Martin Truex Jr. with too much speed. Flips over once, lands back onto the track surface on his wheels, and holds off Stinger for 2nd place, stays on the track after Stinger tries to shove him off. We have the very first, actually no, the 2nd successful execution of the shortcut. What an insane drive by AJ Foyt to get himself into the seconds race. It's got to be a candidate for move of the year right there. AJ Foyt, an absolute insane drive. But now he'll have his work cut out for him. This is a stacked seconds race. Bill Elliott, Chef Squid, JD McDuffie, all three of them really fast cars. He's got to get through them. The gates are down for lap number 1. Bill Elliott gets tagged by Chef Squid. Both of them go flying off the track. JD McDuffie and Kenny Schrader leads the field across the line for lap number 1. And look at this, AJ Foyt right behind JD McDuffie for the final lap of the seconds race with the heaviest car in the Nitro Series pushing them. And the gates are down. AJ Foyt's running second. That's going to get him into the seconds race if it holds. JD McDuffie bins it. It's going to be AJ Foyt that wins the seconds race. Bill Elliott in second place. They move on to the main event. It is really heating up these last few laps of the season. Everybody's scrambling for that last point or two. Bill Elliott shoves Kenny Schrader off the side of the track while all this is happening with JD McDuffie up front, as you can see on the replay here. But the focus has to be on AJ Foyt. What an awesome run by AJ Foyt, moving on to the main event, starting in the back row. Can he make some noise with 5 of the Nitro Series Titans? And we're going to find out right now, because it's now time for the last main event of the 1991 season. On your front row are your 2 title favorites, Vito Nightlife, as well as your 1989 and 1990 champion Cole Trickle. Behind them, Ross Chastain and Alan Kulwicki. They both had several top 5 finishes this year. Ross Chastain's got a win. Bill Elliott had a couple top 5s as well. This is the cream of the crop here, and the gates are down for the first lap of the final segment in 1991. And look at this, Cole Trickle running away from the rest of the field, a car length plus lead over Vito Nightlife. Alan Kulwicki moves up to third. Bill Elliott takes a spot from AJ Foyt. The front row remains the same heading into the middle lap, and it's a tight pack heading out of the gate. Vito Nightlife half a car length lead on the outside lane, but once again Cole Trickle with the side draft takes the lead over Vito Nightlife in turn number 1. Reverse side drafts the whole field there, knocks Alan Kulwicki off of the track. That allows Ross Chastain to move up to third place as Cole Trickle holds on to the lead heading into the final lap of the 1991 season. This is it for the championship. The gates are down. They are side by side heading towards the bottom of the split track, and it's Cole Trickle with a car length lead heading into turns 2 and 3. But Vito Nightlife tosses Cole Trickle off the track. He takes the lead coming out of the final corner. They're side by side with Bill Elliott for the win, and it's Vito Nightlife by a few millimeters that takes the checkered flag. We got to show you this whole lap from the beginning again. This 1991 season has been one for the ages, decided in the final corner of the year between the top 2 championship contenders. And here they are once again, the final lap. We're going to show you guys this whole thing again. What an epic lap, one of the greatest laps of Nitro Series racing of all time. And right there, Vito Nightlife, never afraid to get his hands dirty, takes it in the final corner. Bill Elliott ran out of real estate at the finish line, gets second place behind only by a bumper length. Ross Chastain in third place to complete your podium. But congratulations to Vito Nightlife on his first career NASCAR Nitro Series championship. A longtime competitor funding his team through his 17 tanning salons and 8 self-serve car washes and other streams of income that he says are none of my business. Gets it done against the heavy favorite Cole Trickle, who won the first 2 races of the year. Vito Nightlife had quite a few highlight reel moves on the track this season. Congratulations to Vito Nightlife. In his Dodge Murata Stalker, your 1991 NASCAR Nitro Series champion. And now let's go down the rest of the race results. Vito Nightlife, Bill Elliott, and Ross Chastain, your podium. Alan Kulwicki ended up 4th after that. AJ Foyt into the top 5 from the thirds race. A great drive for him from 3rd in his segment to the top 5. Cole Trickle ends up in 6th. He'll be 157 or 158 points behind. Chef Squid, Martin Truex Jr., JD McDuffie, and Kenny Schrader, who all wrecked in the seconds race, round out the rest of your top 10. And here we have spots 11 through 25. Stinger, Chad Little, Johnson Jr., Rusty Wallace, and Ricardo Roberto round out your top 15. Take a few seconds, pause it if you need to, read through 16 through 25. A lot of these guys is finishing in the back, didn't have very great seasons. One exception, Ricky Craven, came into this race 3rd in points, mathematically eligible to win the championship, only 20-something points behind. He ends up in the 8th race. DNF's in his placement race. He is the lowest finishing driver to finish the segments. Tyler Bloodfish, your highest finishing El Flippo, or should I say El Recco? I think that's what I'm going to call it from here on out. Due to all of the times Carl Recco DNF'd, his first lap DNF got him 38th. Dale Jarrett rounds out your field in last place. And now let's take a look at your point standings. Vito Nightlife wins it by 47 points over Cole Trickle and 54 points over Ross Chastain. Chef Squid moves all the way up to 4th place with his top 10 finish, while Ricky Craven's 8th place finish in his segment and his DNF in the 7th, 8th, and 9th race takes him down to 5th. Stinger, Martin Truex, Alan Kulwicki got a top 5 in the finale there. Jimmy and Johnson Jr. round out your top 10 in points. Bill Elliott salvages 12th after his midseason DNQ with a podium finish in the finale. Marco Andretti tumbles out of the top 10 into 13th with his lap 1 DNF. Elmo Langley and Robbie Gordon round out your top 15. Darrell Waltrip in the top 10 in points earlier, downward spirals into 16th place, while Tyler Bloodfish somehow holds on to a spot in the top 20. Here is the rest of your point standings. Jeff Bodine in 26th, all the way to Marky Mart, who suffered some damage in qualifying week 2 and only raced in the season opener. He gets last place for the 1991 season. That Jeff Gordon, that guy ends up in 29th. I don't see him having much of a future in NASCAR racing. Actually, Chad Little beats him out despite being a mid-season entry. And there you have it for the 1991 NASCAR Nitro Series season, the last interlude race before the mail-ins begin again. Here is your 90 cars. That is right, 90 cars. We're going to be having 60 card fields for the Crown Jewel races, 50 car fields for the others. We got so many cars. You have to win your qualifying lap to get into the race. If you finish second but still finish the lap, you'll get into the second chance race, possibly your C-Series race. Because we just got so many cars this year, about 70 of them would be top 10 mods points finishers last year. It's a stacked field, lots of great looking cars. We already filmed Speed Weeks, Daytona 500 qualifying, and the second tier / B Series race already at the time of this video's release. Your cars will be late for the Daytona 500, but not for the other 14 races. If you want to send extra cars, join the series, mail your cars out to HSL Diecast, P.O. Box 7, Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you out there on the track.